Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt a sudden itch in a place you cannot explain? That itch is not always just your skin. It may be your spirit crying out. There are forces at work, invisible, relentless, targeting you through the simplest parts of your body. Today, I will reveal what those itchy signals mean and how you can recognize the silent attacks that try to weaken your destiny. You see, understanding your body is understanding the battlefield of your life. Are you ready to uncover the hidden messages before they steal your peace? Have you ever stopped to think that your body is trying to talk to you? Yes. Your body has a language that is often ignored, overlooked, dismissed as coincidence. But every sensation, every twinge, every itch is a message waiting to be understood. Today, we begin with the simplest, yet most profound truth. Your body speaks, and it is warning you about forces you cannot see. Imagine this. You feel a sudden itch on your hand, your arm, your shoulder, and you wonder, is this just a rash? Is this just dry skin? No, sometimes it is more. Sometimes it is a sign from the spiritual realm, a signal that something unseen is trying to make contact, to manipulate, to distract, to control. You see, the body is not just flesh and bones. It is a vessel, it is a temple, and it is a warning system designed by the Creator to alert you to danger. And when it itches in certain places, it is not random, it is strategic. The hand, the arm, the neck, the back, these are not just parts of your anatomy. They are communication points. Spiritual alarm, bells ringing in the silence, telling you, pay attention, something is happening beyond the natural. But here is the challenge most people face. They ignore it. They scratch it away, dismiss it as irritation, never realizing that each itch carries a story, a message, a signal that must be interpreted carefully. And let me tell you, there is power in understanding. There is power in recognizing the difference between a natural itch and a spiritual signal. The moment you learn to listen to your body, you begin to see patterns. You begin to notice that certain itches come before moments of confusion, before decisions that could affect your destiny. You begin to understand that your flesh is a warning system, calibrated to alert you, and spiritual forces are at work. Forces that wish to distract you, disorient you, or even harm you. But here is the key question. Are you listening? Are you paying attention to the messages that are right in front of you? Or are you too busy, too distracted, too comfortable to notice that your own body is trying to guide you through the battlefield of life? This is why it is critical to recognize the signs, to develop spiritual awareness, to understand that these itches are not always physical, they are spiritual. And when you do, when you awaken to this truth, you step into a place of power, insight, and protection that most people never experience. So the next time you feel that sudden itch, do not simply scratch and forget. Pause. Reflect. Ask, what is my body trying to tell me? What is unseen reaching out to influence me? Because the moment you start to listen, the moment you start to pay attention, you will discover that your body has been your first line of defense all along. And that, my friends, is only the beginning of understanding the signals that the spiritual realm is sending. Have you ever felt a persistent itch that just would not go away? In a place you could not reach, in a place that seemed insignificant at first. Many people dismiss these itches as mere annoyances, but I am telling you today they are far more than that. They are messages from a realm you cannot see, a realm that is constantly seeking to influence your life, to test your strength, to challenge your authority. And when it comes to the hidden world of spiritual attack, every signal matters, every message is significant, and every itch can carry a warning you dare not ignore. Think about it. Why would your body react in such a very particular way, at a very particular time, without reason? It is because the enemy is strategic. He does not attack blindly. He knows the areas where you are vulnerable, where your faith wavers, where your focus can be distracted. And he sends signals through your very flesh to confuse you, to frighten you, to manipulate you. That hand that itches repeatedly, that shoulder that burns with irritation, that neck that pricks. Without warning, these are not coincidences. They are signs that someone or something is trying to communicate through your physical world to reach your spirit, to disrupt your destiny. And here is the truth many people fail to grasp. Spiritual attacks often come disguised as ordinary occurrences. A scratch, a twitch, a sudden discomfort, these seem harmless, almost trivial. But the moment you ignore them, the moment you dismiss them as nothing, you are giving permission for distraction, confusion, and even harm. Your body is the first line of defense. Your awareness, your spiritual sensitivity is your armor. And the more you recognize these subtle signs, the more you begin to understand the enemy's strategies, the more you begin to see the invisible plan behind the visible discomfort. But here is where the challenge comes. Awareness requires discipline. It requires observation. It requires a willingness to see beyond the physical, to perceive what is hidden, to question the ordinary. Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to understand that every persistent itch, every strange sensation is not just a random occurrence, but a deliberate attempt to get your attention? Are you ready to develop the insight that will allow you to distinguish between mere coincidence and spiritual strategy? Because once you begin to recognize these signs, once you begin to interpret the signals, you will step into a level of spiritual alertness that protects your life, your decisions, and your purpose. You will see that what many call annoyances are actually warnings, strategically placed, designed to awaken you, to sharpen you, to prepare you. And when you see this pattern, when you begin to understand this invisible communication, you realize that you are not defenseless, that your body is speaking to you, and that your spirit can respond with clarity, authority, and power. And that brings us to the next critical discovery. The very place where the enemy's influence is strongest, and the signs become even clearer, if only you are willing to pay attention. Have you ever wondered why certain itches feel heavier, sharper, or more persistent than others? Why some places on your body seem to burn or tingle without explanation? You see, this is where the invisible world begins to make its presence known. This is where the spiritual attacks are no longer subtle. They are strategic, targeted, and deliberate. And when it comes to understanding these signals, you must see your body not just as flesh, not just as a vessel, but as a battlefield. Every scratch, every irritation, every twitch can be a message from a force that desires to influence your life, to disturb your peace, to disrupt your destiny. Now, consider this. Why would a witch, a manipulator of dark forces, focus on your body? It is simple. They understand the connection between flesh and spirit. They know that the body can be used as a doorway to affect your mind, your decisions, your emotions. And they do this subtly through the smallest things, a flicker of discomfort, an itch that comes and goes, a sensation you cannot explain. These are not random. They are precise. They are designed to create confusion, to make you question yourself, to shake your faith. And when you ignore these signs, you give room for these forces to operate without resistance. But here is the truth that most people fail to grasp. Understanding these signals is not about fear. It is about awareness. It is about insight. It is about recognizing that your body is more than a physical entity. It is a spiritual sensor, a warning system calibrated to alert you when the enemy is near. When the spiritual realm is attempting to interfere with your life. The shoulder that itches repeatedly, the back that prickles at night, the hand that burns without cause, these are not coincidences. They are signals. They are messages meant to awaken you to the presence of manipulation, to the attempt to disturb your focus, to the strategy of the unseen enemy. And the question you must ask yourself is this: are you listening? Are you paying attention to the language of your body? The subtle signals that demand interpretation? Or are you dismissing them scratching them away, forgetting that each sensation is a clue, a piece of a larger puzzle. You see, when you learn to observe, when you learn to discern, you gain insight that allows you to identify the attack, to recognize the manipulation, and to respond with authority and wisdom. You see, the moment you begin to understand that these itches are not physical accidents, but spiritual warnings, is the moment you reclaim your power over your life. And it is here, in this place of awareness, that you begin to see the pattern, to understand the tactics, and to prepare yourself for what comes next. Because the enemy does not act openly. He acts in secrecy, in subtlety, in ways designed to deceive. And the next revelation will expose the exact areas where these attacks are strongest and the signs you must never ignore if you are to protect your destiny. Have you ever noticed how some itches feel almost impossible to ignore? How they seem to linger, persistent, unrelenting, as if trying to get your attention. Many people think it is just a skin irritation, a momentary discomfort, something trivial. But I want you to see it differently. I want you to understand that your body is a vessel. And every sensation, especially the ones that demand your attention, can be a spiritual message. And when it comes to the battle between light and darkness, the enemy knows exactly how to use the human body to send signals, to create doubt, to unsettle your spirit. Consider the areas that itch the most: your neck, your hands, your back, your chest. These are not random. These are strategic points, gateways to your spirit. When a witch or dark force targets these areas through voodoo or spiritual manipulation, it is not merely to irritate you, it is to communicate. It is to distract you. It is to shake the foundation of your focus, your peace, your purpose. And most people, they fail to recognize it. They scratch, they ignore, they dismiss it. But what they do not realize is that in every itch, there is a story, a warning, a signal. And here is the truth. Spiritual attacks are often silent. They are subtle. They do not always announce themselves loudly. Instead, they come through the body in whispers, in sensations, in itches that appear when you least expect them. The enemy does not want you to notice his hand. He wants you to think it is coincidence, bad luck, stress, or fatigue. But when you develop awareness, when you learn to interpret the language of your body, you will see the pattern. You will recognize that these signals are not random. They are messages designed to guide you, to warn you, to alert you before greater harm can occur. But the challenge lies in perception. Are you able to discern the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary? Are you ready to understand that an itch in your back or a burn on your hand could be a direct attempt to influence your mind, to disturb your emotions, to divert your destiny? Most people never ask these questions. Most people never consider that the body is not just flesh and nerves, but a communication system, a warning system, a spiritual radar designed to detect interference before it escalates. And so, when you feel that persistent itch, when you sense that subtle burn or prickling sensation, pause. Do not immediately dismiss it. Do not immediately ignore it. Listen, observe. Ask, what is this telling me? What is unseen trying to communicate? Because the moment you begin to see the body as a spiritual messenger, you step into a level of awareness, insight, and protection that many never achieve. And this awareness will lead you to uncover the very methods and strategies that the enemy uses to target the most sensitive areas, to exploit the weakest points, and to attack the life you are meant to live. The next revelation will expose these critical points and reveal how to recognize the signs before it is too late. Have you ever stopped to think that your body is more than just a collection of flesh and bones? That it is in fact a living, breathing warning system, a temple designed to alert you to danger long before the danger becomes visible. Every sensation, every sudden tingle, every persistent itch is a signal. And when it comes to the invisible world, the spiritual forces that seek to interfere with your destiny, your body often becomes the first line of communication. It speaks before your mind even recognizes the threat. But the question is, are you listening? Are you paying attention to the messages embedded in the very vessel you live in? Consider this. Certain body parts are more than just physical components. They are sensitive areas that the enemy often targets. The hands, the feet, the back, the shoulders. These are communication points, spiritual touch points, where interference is most effective if left unchecked. And when you feel unexplained itches or discomforts in these areas, it is not random. It is strategic. It is deliberate. It is a message saying, pay attention. Something unseen is trying to influence your life. And most people fail to notice. They scratch, they shake it off. They dismiss it as ordinary. But the truth is, what feels ordinary may actually be extraordinary if only you have the eyes to see and the awareness to interpret. You see, the human body has a natural radar for danger, a system built into your very being that warns you when spiritual forces are at work. And when you ignore it, when you dismiss these subtle signals, you leave open a door for distraction, for confusion, for manipulation. But when you begin to recognize these signs, when you begin to see your body as a messenger, you start to reclaim control over your life. You start to understand that every itch, every tingle, every strange sensation has a purpose. It is not punishment. It is not coincidence. It is a warning, a heads up, a guide. And here is the critical point. Awareness requires attention. Awareness requires discernment. It requires you to pause and ask, why is this happening now? What is being communicated through this physical sign? The moment you begin to ask these questions, you enter a place of spiritual intelligence, a place where you can detect strategies of the enemy before they affect your decisions, your emotions, and your destiny. You begin to understand that the body is not just reacting, it is communicating. It is signaling. It is pointing you to areas where vigilance is needed, where protection must be strengthened, where awareness must be heightened. But the revelation does not end there. Once you start recognizing these warning signs, you will also begin to see patterns that expose the very techniques and manipulations used by dark forces. You will discover that every itch, every sudden discomfort is part of a larger strategy designed to influence your life. And understanding this is the key to stepping into authority, clarity, and protection that most people never experience. And that brings us to the final discovery, the one that reveals how to break the influence completely and protect yourself from unseen forces that seek to manipulate every aspect of your life. Have you ever felt a persistent itch, a sensation that seems to demand your attention, and wondered, is this merely physical, or is there something more at play? You see, the body is not just a vessel of flesh and blood. It is a messenger, a communicator, a warning system. Every tingle, every prickling sensation, every itch is a signal that something unseen is attempting to make contact, to influence, to interfere. And often we dismiss these signals as trivial, ordinary, natural. But I am here to tell you what feels ordinary may, in fact, be extraordinary. If only we are awake, aware, and willing to see beyond the physical. Consider the nature of spiritual attack. It is rarely blatant. It is subtle, strategic, targeted. The enemy does not come openly. He comes quietly, invisibly, through the very vessel designed to protect you, your body. That burning sensation on your hand, that sudden itch on your shoulder, that tingling on your back, these are not accidents. They are deliberate attempts to communicate, to distract, to disorient, to shake your focus. And most people never recognize the patterns. Most people never connect the physical sign to the spiritual strategy behind it. But when you develop awareness, when you begin to discern the message embedded in your body, you step into a new level of understanding. You realize that your flesh is not your enemy, it is your first line of defense. It signals before the mind even processes the danger. It warns you of interference, of manipulation, of forces that desire to weaken your authority, your focus, your purpose. And here is the truth. To ignore these signals is to leave the door open. To recognize them is to step into power. Ask yourself, are you listening? Are you paying attention to the language of your own body? Are you aware that every itch, every sensation, every tingle can be a message meant to guide you, to protect you, to awaken your vigilance? Because the moment you begin to see your body as a communicator, as a spiritual radar, you gain insight. You gain discernment. You gain the ability to respond before interference becomes influence. And this is where the transformation occurs, when you no longer fear the signals, but respect them. When you no longer dismiss the whispers of your flesh, but interpret them. When you begin to reclaim your authority over your life, over your decisions, over your destiny. The body becomes a guide. The spirit becomes alert. And your life becomes a fortress of awareness and power. So listen carefully, observe keenly, and understand deeply. Your body has been speaking to you all along. The question is, have you been listening? Have you been ready to respond? Will you allow these messages to guide you? Or will you continue to scratch and dismiss, unaware of the strategy being revealed? The power is in awareness. The authority is in discernment. The protection is in vigilance. Do not underestimate the language of your body. Do not ignore the signals that are designed to preserve your destiny. Stand alert, stand aware, and stand empowered. Because when you listen to the messages of your own flesh, you awaken the strength within. You reclaim your authority. You break the influence of the unseen. You secure your peace. And you step into a life of power, clarity, and victory that cannot be shaken.